All righty. Good evening, everybody, or good afternoon if you're on the West Coast. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday, April 13th, 2025. And this is what, round 3 for us, Branton?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing good so far. So, last time we had a subject. Do you remember what the subject was that we talked about last time?
Uh,
I'd have to look. Brain fart.
no, I don't remember. No. Am I
Uh,
showing up? Am I showing up on the screen, or am I just a big black box?
Let me go to my live here and let's double check and make sure we're good. You are a black blob, my friend.
Yeah. What the hell's going on?
I don't know.
All right. Let me leave and come back.
All right. We're gonna hold on, everybody. I'll put those bunny ears back on, Branton. He'll be back. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us for a little bit. It's gonna be a fun one, I hope. Hope we get a good group of people in here. Let me reload you on YouTube and see if you show up, Branton.
I'm here. Yeah. So I'm definitely a bit glitchy. There must be something going on with my internet for sure.
Uh-oh. Well, it's all right. You're clear on my end so far. It looks a lot better than it did.
Yeah, it's coming back a little bit.
Yeah, I think. Hey, so I'm. You're good. We're fine. Let's just roll with it. There's Branton. Okay. All right, let's just try this again. Welcome in, everybody. Branton's back again. No black screen anymore. But yeah, round 3. I was just trying to find what we had discussed last time. And the first time it was just live with you, and then the second one, I can't even think of what we talked about. I would have to like look through my notes and everything if I still had them. But regardless, that
I
darn
think it
short-term memory.
I think it was reasons why you should keep an aquarium.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that does yeah, it does ring a bell now. And that was a good one
Yeah.
too, because we had a lot of good
Yeah.
points for that one.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
looks like
everybody's commenting on my attire yesterday for the auction.
so you had some bunny ears.
Yeah, Joe, you haven't seen it, but you'll have to go back and at least watch
Yep.
watch my entry. So everybody wanted me to wear pink, so I
Okay.
stole this guy from my daughter, and I had this on. I had some sweet pink glasses on. I still got everything up here from the street.
Man, you were just styling and profiling, my friend.
And I was rocking the sweet mic.
You know, I need to get my daughter one of those because I have a Rode mic that's upstairs that I use every so once in a while from my computer. And there's a short cord, and it's not even like I have an electronic drum set, long story short, but there's a spot where she like plugs in the mic in a certain spot. It's not even a plug-in spot, but she thinks it is. And then she puts the mic and she's like starts singing. I was just like, well, it's not even a plug-in spot. You're not even singing anything. And she's just singing away.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this one's fun. It's what is this? It's called like a karaoke rock star or something. I don't know.
Does it come with like does it come with a monitor with it too, like a speaker, like an output speaker with it?
It's got a speaker built into it.
Kid Star Karaoke.
So you were doing that during the live stream then, huh?
Hold on. There we go. I have my phone connected to this thing, Bluetooth, so it switched the audio over to this.
Oh my god. What a trip. Let me welcome everybody in. We got Slim Tim, we got Prodigal. I don't know how to pronounce that. Prodigal Aquarius, that's what I thought. We have Ed's coming in. We have a new person in here. Lisa the Wolf, new here, enjoyed Branton's attire in the stream yesterday and thought I'd check this out today. Welcome in. She lights the light. Oh, that's what those lights were, glasses, yeah. It must have been pretty entertaining for you, especially if you're going on for 6 hours.
Yeah, it was fun.
What do you guys do for 6 hours? Do you take, breaks, like 10, 15-minute breaks, like when you go watch a band, and
No, we just powered through it.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. Jody P's coming in. Thanks, Jody P, for coming in. Looks like Lisa got a couple from the auction, if I'm reading that correctly.
She napped for 2 of the 6 hours.
Oh, nap 2 of the 6 hours. Oh, I get what you're saying now. Okay.
Hello, Jody.
Thanks for coming in, Jody. It's the Joe and Branton show tonight, so I'm hoping it'll go for a while because anyone can feel free to make an announcement. I decided not to make it as any of my thumbnail for this or like the title, but we are doing a giveaway tonight, and anyone, including Branton, is eligible for the giveaway tonight. So we're going to talk about our topic, of course, and get through some good bullet points and discussions and stuff. But then after that, Branton's I think I kind of already got it started. It seems pretty simplistic, like you were saying.
Yep.
About doing this giveaway.
Yeah, it'll be Joe's first live giveaway. So if you mess
yeah,
this up, you gotta cut him some slack.
It is well overdue. This is something I should have done a while ago, and I've been around long enough that there's a point in time where I need to start doing this.
Hello. There he is.
Let's see.
Back.
Oh, was I gone for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna power through this. Glitches or no glitches, we'll get through it. But yeah, like I said, I'll have 3 giveaways at the end after we're done talking about our discussion. But we got Daniel in. Thanks for coming in. How many people we got in here so far? Looks like 10. So I'm sure people will roll in as we go along. Thank you, Slim, for the smashing of the like button. I was really looking forward to this because it's been a while since you and I have been live together. So
yeah,
I really like the subject that we talk about. I feel like you and I have a lot of good input on everything. So if you're ready to start up with this, and we can.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to just address the elephant in the room, and the probably the most major one that probably you already thought of, and everybody else. I honestly think one of the most biggest problems with what new fish keepers make, and I have it as number 1 actually, because it was the first thing that came to mind, and it is the biggest one, is the most common is buying a fish without knowing the proper tank size to put them in. Honestly, because a lot of times, with new fish keepers, especially if they don't do the research, and that's where the preventative thing comes in. I always have a response as what's being preventative is obviously do your research. That's mainly the main thing that you have to do for it. Know what the full grown size is of it, what their temperament is, what to feed them, and all that sort of thing. So that's kind of my number 1 thing. If you want to touch base on that too, Brent, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm trying to think if I did that early on, and
I know I did.
Yeah, I did with a few things like the piranhas I knew nothing about. That did not go well. So yeah, the impulse buys early on hurt you a lot more than they do later on. So
yes,
when I have impulse buys now, I can kind of make it work. But yeah.
I had an impulse buy within the last month or so, and I kind of paid for it a little bit, but I have a very bizarre situation that out of nowhere it worked out. And I kind of on your page to where if something doesn't work out, I try to make it work out because I'm determined. Especially when you spend a lot of time and, I guess depending on the size of fish and how much you're willing to spend on the situation, if you can't get that money back or can't, take that back, then you want to try to make things work to the best of it before going to the next round of giving away the fish or starting over or that sort of thing. But I'm sure that if anyone is, feel free to leave comments on our subjects too at the same time.
Yeah, Lisa's got an example of one that she had.
Lisa says, I was new and trying to get Cory catfish, and the big box stores maybe talked me into the yo-yo loaches, which were cute and reduced the snails, but outgrew my 20-gallon real quick. Yeah, those things. What do they get full grown? Like 7 inches, something like that, maybe 6, 7
Honestly,
inches.
I'm not sure. I think they get up to a foot.
Can they really? They're
I
slow
think so.
growers, but okay. Um, and I feel like this is a really important subject to talk about because I think you even said when we did a live stream before that you used to have African cichlids too as well. Didn't you start to try
Yeah.
that out for a little bit? So I mean,
Yeah, I pretty much got into the hobby with African cichlids. Yep.
that's what I thought. And was that something that you might have jumped into and then you learned from as you went along? Like, have you made
Yeah.
mistakes, with that as well?
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot those early years keeping Africans. As far as the African world is concerned, like
Yeah.
when I first got my my first real African tank, I was just throwing whatever African cichlid I wanted in there. There was no no rhyme or reason. It was just whatever
No,
was
you just
cool looking. And
yeah, whatever looked awesome that would go well with all the other fish.
Yeah.
Yep. Jody says, my first mistake was not doing any research and buying the fish and the tank on the same day via advice of the PetSmart employee. So that's like a big subject too. And I'm glad that you brought this up, Jody, is because a lot of times, and I'll get to a later one because I'll bring up, well, it's actually my number two. So we'll get to the big box stores again as well. But it's also a good point because a lot of times when you go to these big box stores, you're just taking from what they're telling you without having a lot of experience or a lot of just knowledge in general. And I think it comes back to research as well. I mean, just take the time, take the energy, go to the fish store, look at some tanks, look at some fish. They do have labels on there of what their temperament is, but really like, and I want to bring this up too later, so don't let me forget about it, Brandon. But there's another point that it's number 5 on my list. But I mean, we just have a great community here. So I feel like if you do your research and we all talk amongst each other, then we can all learn from mistakes and help us throughout the hobby.
Yep.
So let's see here. Good old chain stores. Daniel says, "Yeah, I'm only ordering from my local fish ship from now on." I'm assuming that's a typo, unless
Fish
you're getting
shop,
dishes
yeah.
up from a ship. They have been in business for years and know their stuff, and their fish are always nice and healthy. Yep, we got it. Yeah, it's like, wow, we're getting dishes and fish. Knowledge, yeah, knowledgeable salesman, that's for sure. So I think that's a good thing to start on. Just doing your research. Don't feel like you have to go out and buy the fish and the tank all in the same day. We all know that we can instant cycle our tanks with established media from other tanks and stuff, but it's really easy to do, especially when the fish are small. So I think it's a good starting point. So what do you have for our next number?
Number 1 on my list was water chemistry. So understanding not only what you need to achieve in the fish tank as far as water goes, but your own water as well. Like exactly what is your water? Because that's something when I first got into it, which luckily I had the African cichlids. I have rock hard water where I am, so it wasn't a big issue. But somebody that's got rock hard water and they're trying to keep, in a pisto or something like that, while a lot of them can do okay in hard water, they're probably not going to breed for you. I just went through that same struggle. But a lot of these fish that like softer water, they'll just break down in hard water and die. Slowly kind of peter off and die. And if you don't know any better, you think you have no idea what's going on. And it leads with kind of what we had just talked about, getting the tank and the fish the same day. You don't have that nitrogen cycle established yet, which we all can handle as you gain more experience, whether it be you put the fish in and you water change the thing every day until it's okay, or you seed you take some established media and transfer it over. But yeah, I think that for me was because you can buy any fish small and put it in a tank, but if your water is not right, it's not going to last long.
No, and I can relate to that as well, because I have well water here, And I think it's honestly important to bring this up because, depending on where your location is, whether you have city water or well water, out of the tap, you might have a different type of pH. And, if you don't know what your levels are before you even go into the fish store, and then, like you said, going to get these fish, they're not going to handle this adaptment to going from the store, which a lot of these stores from where I'm from, they have an RO system in place and they have, like a 7.4 to 7.6, sort of pH. So if, the hard water that I have here, it's like a good like 8, 7.8 to 8. So when you have, it doesn't seem like much, but whenever you bring them back here, and I make sure I didn't want to forget, but the electric blue Acara, their water parameters actually are more suitable in like the 7.4 to 7.6 pH range. So I've never had good luck with electric blue Acara except for the 3 that I have here, but I bought them from very reputable sources and they were great. But within a few days, they would just start dying just because my pH was too hard for them. And they will acclimate. And I feel like the more hardy ones, like the ones that I have here, they're a little bit on the larger scale. And I felt like that their immune system was a little bit better than what these smaller ones were. So I think that's a very good point to bring up, that knowing what your water is, knowing what your water quality is, and how to understand the nitrogen cycle to make sure that your fish are living in the best conditions, even in the beginning stages. Let's see. Muppet says, when I started, I had mollies and super soft water for a while. It took time, but I learned from that. Mollies can live in a lot of different conditions, from what I understand.
Yeah, as long as there's some mineral content in the water. I know they can go full salt. Yeah,
I've heard that too.
The soft water, they fall apart.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. And it was some live stream ago, someone had told me that, and I think it might have been even when we were doing all those live streams with like Curtis and Vibes and you and Jose and Mexicali. I think the whole week or whatever, and that's where I learned that mollies can live in saltwater conditions. So it's kind of interesting.
Now Don said he just emailed his list to me, which I can't look at unless I take my phone away.
Where's that
at? Further up, right above Ed's there.
Okay.
So right. He must have a list too that he emailed me, which if you want to keep going on the comments, I can check that out real quick.
Yeah, I'll keep going on this. I wanted to bring up what Ed was saying is a big mistake with newbies is gathering information from numerous sources. I recommend finding a mentor and learning their husbandry. And it's not, I do agree with you on that, Ed. It's not a bad idea to get to multiple resources, but at the same time, it can also, I get what you're saying, that it can almost overcomplicate things. And it's better to find someone that you almost know offhand, either through the YouTube community or through like maybe like an auction, as an example, just talking to people at an auction, when we met, and then getting to know people through YouTube. This is going right back to what I don't want to forget later on. It's just we have this community and that are able to help each other out. And sometimes Facebook or sometimes getting too much knowledge can be overwhelming, and then you might overthink everything. So I think that's where that kind of plays in. And learning, like you said, like their husbandry, get a good mentor, someone that's going to help you, guide you along the way a little bit, and make sure that you don't make any mistakes. I think that's more important. Let's see here. M&C agrees with Ed. Probably the best way is a mentor. That's good.
Tommy and Jesse are here.
Aquatic News Network, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. And what's going on, Jesse? Thanks for coming in. Howdy, Earthlings.
Brantonian.
Yeah, I really like that subject. So I'm going to go ahead and move right along here.
Yeah.
So number 2 on my list is this happened to me. This was told me recently, and I'm not, like I said, like this whole entire live stream, I want to really drive the fact that it's not a bash on anybody or anyone like that. This whole point is for us to try to come up with ways to give solutions to help each other out. Um, but I had like an experience, and you might better relate to this as well. But it's actually a question, and my question is 1 inch per gallon really the general rule of thumb to stocking your tank? And this is when it comes back to the big box stores that we were just talking about, and that's why I want to remind me of have you remind me. And I'm glad I brought this up, and you did too. But it's, when you go, I've been to PetSmart, Petco, Pet Supplies Plus. I mean, I even gone to some local fish stores that weren't as reputable, not very good mentors and stuff. But it's not a bad idea to think about. But in all honesty, like, is that really what we should be? What we should what we should be going by? Is the 1 inch per gallon? Is that a fact, or is this fiction? So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this, Branton.
I think it's an okay thing, I guess, just as a generalization, but I think it only applies to fish that are like maybe 3 inches and under, because obviously a 12-inch Oscar isn't going to go in a 12-gallon tank.
Right.
It works with the smaller fish, I guess, but once you start getting into the bigger fish, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because you start getting such a bio load that, an Oscar takes a dump in a 12-gallon tank, that thing's done,
Yeah. The ammonia's going to spike, the nitrites are going to go off the wazoo. And I do have to agree with you on that I think it does work with like your tetras and your, tiger barbs, or your, not angelfish, but more like your smaller fish, your rasboras, your guppies and stuff like that. It's a good rule of thumb. But on the flip side, in my opinion, I think it really all boils down to, when you get to bigger fish, it all comes down to what type of filtration you have. And if you can carry that bio load and be able to manage enough filtration, I'm not saying like buy an Oscar and put them in 10 or 20 gallon tank, but I'm just saying like make it suitable for that fish, just like in the first subject we talked about. But if you just need to have the right amount of filtration for that bio load. I mean, you might have 5 or 6, 7 African cichlids in a 75 gallon tank, but if you start, you might have just one filter. But if you start overstocking this tank, like that's kind of in the process of what I'm doing now to help to mitigate the aggression, because that's the one thing that has worked for me. Then you have to have the filtration to be able to carry that bio load, so your water conditions are still in check. So yeah, that's kind of the point I wanted to bring up, is like, it's situational too. It all depends on what fish you get and what their bio load is and their tank size and stuff. So did we miss anything in chat on this subject? Prodigal says bioload isn't linear or liner.
Yep, linear.
Linear per inch of fish. That's a bogus guideline. And I think we touched base on that pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you know what Jesse was saying? Brand won't take it. My money is. Slim says the rule is outdated. And it could be. Maybe that was something that people have seen in the past before we had social media and YouTube. Maybe that was just something that a lot of local fish stores, before these big box stores got really popular with all the different stuff, that maybe that was something that they just used, and then that was what they went by. So I think it's kind of...
There's just a way I'm guessing for big box stores to kind of simplify the explanation as to how many fish somebody could keep in their little 10-gallon they're picking up.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree on that. All right, so we can move on. What is your number 3, or what is your next item on the list?
My next one was, so this is kind of, I guess this one would be debatable, but I don't like test kits.
You don't like what?
Test kits. So like the API master test kit.
Okay.
If I first started the hobby and I was doing that to my tank every time I had to test water, I think it would really turn me off. Honestly, I think that, I mean, the strips nowadays are good enough to where you can know what's going on without having all the variables of those test kits.
Yeah.
I feel like the test kits take way too long, and there's so many variables as far, because you got to put the liquid in the thing, you got to, count all your drops, and then you got to shake it for a certain amount of time. And if you don't do it just right, I mean, you're getting false readings and stuff's
Yep.
not adding up, and you may think you have a problem going on and you don't.
Yep.
So, I mean, I could comfortably say that I think for a beginner aquarist, rather than going with the master test kit route, just get some test strips. It'll save you a lot of headache, a lot of time. And yeah, I think that would be what I would recommend for a new aquarist if they wanted to do some tests on their water.
Do you get your test strips from Aquarium Co-op?
Yeah, I do the Aquarium Co-op test strips. Yep.
Okay. Is there any other test strips that you've experienced that you've used that has worked just as well, or just not as much, or you've always have gone Aquarium Co-op?
That's always what I've used. Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's before that it was the test kits, and it's just a pain.
It's so I can kind of go both ways on this. Whenever I first started, I mean, I'm kind of a detailed person per se. So I was like real like precise on everything. And like you said, it does take time and you have to follow the directions, really precisely, because if not, you can get an inaccurate reading. And I've done that before, and you're like trying to put the 10 drops in, shake it, and then put another 10 drops in, and then let it sit and that sort of thing. And you might only have like 1 or 2 extra drops, but that 1 or 2 extra drops could give it a whole different reading.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, whenever I first started, I used the master test kit, and I personally didn't mind using them. I don't use them anymore. I still have it. There's probably like, I don't know, half of the solution left in all the bottles right now. But I think when you become an experienced fish keeper, you just kind of almost, if you're doing your maintenance and you're doing everything you're supposed to, you almost need to just sit and watch your fish tanks and say, hey, is there something going on that's, other than water quality? I mean, Jesse was saying that a test strip save a lot of time, but I feel the master test kit gives you more accurate reading. And I think that would be like the argument as well, that as long as you do everything accurate with the master test kit, then it will give you an accurate reading. But with the test strips, being like the Aquarium Co-op test strips being just so easy to dip it in the water and you're good to go, then it's very quick and it takes you seconds to do, So I get both sides. Like that's a tough one to talk about, and I'm glad you brought that up though, because it's a good thing to talk about. If people in the comments.
I mean, we're talking about beginner aquarists here. Okay.
Yes.
So
that's
for
correct.
A beginner aquarist to just use a test strip is going to save them a lot of headache and time. I mean, it just is.
Yeah, and when I first started, I didn't know about them, the test strips. So I just went by like going by the big box, the big box stores of getting the test kits. But I do agree with staying on the subject of new fish keeping, that it's going to be easier for them to just use the test strips instead of trying to, be new at using the test kits and then maybe not doing it correctly. And then they might have further problems down the road just because they're going by what they did. And do you really trust the people at the stores that do the water test too? I mean, maybe it might be too overwhelming for them and they just want to be simplistic, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Zen. Thanks, Zen. Sweet agrees with Jesse. Let's see what Daniel says. Daniel says, I found the hang in the back filters and basic air stones are the easiest way to move water. Most hang in the back filters are fairly easy maintenance. They don't look the best on a tank though. They look better than sponge filters, but then again, I really can't say much about sponge filters here because that's the majority of my fish room is sponge filters.
Now, I did look at Don's email, and I'll bring up. He had 3 points. I'll bring up one of his. His
Okay.
was as far as when it comes to feeding the fish, and specifically the method and how you feed them, to never shake the fish the fish food can over the tank.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. I've definitely done it. I've definitely done it myself. You know, I get to feeding one tank and my hands are wet and I don't want to stick my hand in there. So I'm like, all right, I just need a little bit in this one. And then, yeah, I end up putting way too much in there. So it's definitely a good one to avoid.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree on that. It's very easy to do if if you're just running through, especially like every so once in a while, and I'm down here, and then my wife comes down along with my 2.5-year-old daughter, and they're running around, and next thing you know, you're feeding fish, and then you're, doing one of these while you're trying to pay attention to them, and next thing you know, but yeah, it can be very easy to do. What's another one that he has on there for you?
1 second here.
We can do one more from him. And Ed says that if test strips get the slightest amount of moisture in the bottle, they are ruined. Humidity in the area can make test strips inaccurate. I recommend keeping the bottle in the fridge.
Yeah,
Is that
I
something?
mean, I
Is
don't
that
know.
something that you do, Branton?
No, I just keep them in the fish room, and
Okay.
they seem to be fine. Okay, fine for me. I've got a desiccant pack that stays in there, so it absorbs the moisture as soon as I cap it, and it's not like I'm leaving it uncapped for hours
Days
at a time. I open the top, I take one out, I put the top back on, and then any moisture that leaked in there, that desiccant packet that's in there, just sucks it right up.
Okay.
So
I did. So that's what those test strips include, those desiccant packets then. So that's what kind of helps that.
Yeah, the co-op ones do.
Okay. Well, that's good to know then. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Keeping things simple.
All right. So the first one we kind of talked about is, the water, figuring out your water.
Yeah.
The second one was the food. And then the third one on Don's list was don't try a dirted tank until you understand how tank maintenance and when water changes work. They are impossible to undirt without emptying the tank and starting all over.
Yep, that's why I haven't dived into dirted tanks right now, because I don't have I'm in the middle of rearranging my fish room within the next couple months or so. So in corporation for my tank. So I think if you don't have the time to learn and know what you're doing, you don't want to have to start all over again with especially with that. So maybe you can touch base on that, because you've had experience with that as well, right? So
yeah, I mean, if you're a newbie and you're gonna jump head first in the dirted tanks, I just think it's you're not gonna come out on top in most scenarios. I mean,
yeah,
if your cap's off, then you got too many nutrients in the water column. You're probably gonna have green water. If you put plants in there and then you decide you don't want the plants that you put in there and you start pulling them out, you're messing up the water. Depending on what fish you have, if you're putting fish that like to dig in the substrate, they're pulling up the sand, they're reducing your cap, and then soon you got dirt floating around your water column. It's just there's so many things that can go wrong in a dirted tank that beginners they don't even I would never recommend a dirted tank to a beginner.
Yeah, it's better to keep things simple for a new fish keeper. And I really want to, I think it's another thing to drive that home, to stay on that subject, because you don't want to overcomplicate things and overwhelm them. I feel like sometimes when you do stuff like that, then they almost want to back out of it because they're like, oh, this is too much for me. So I think in a sense, instead of going with the Master test kit, going with the non-dirted, tank, something simple to make them just at least kind of get their fins wet a little bit,
Yeah. Yep.
I think this was someone wanted to bring up, but Prodigal says it's a great argument for the aquarium co-op test strips, but we can't get those in the UK. The guy I share an apartment with uses other brands and strips, and 2 strips from one kit can show very different results. So yeah, reputable test strips, and like you said, using the co-op test strips seems to be the best option to go with.
Yeah, I haven't experimented with any other. I mean, I would assume that API makes a decent one, but I mean, they're really expensive for what you
They're
get.
like what,
And
$35-40 for one of those things, I think now.
I honestly I have no
You
idea. I
would,
just know you get
yeah, you
like a
just use it.
little, you just get like a few of them, and they're really expensive.
Okay. Let's see. I think I'm all caught up on chat here. My next point that I want to bring up is and I want to stay with like the new fish keeping of not being caught up on so much of like don't get caught up on the rules of fish keeping. Because I feel like a lot of the new fish keepers, they feel like this has to be done because this is what I was told, and I have to do it this way, otherwise it's not right. As fish keeping is not like a sport where you're playing basketball and you foul someone, then you have shoot foul shots. You go like there's not. I guess that was the first thing that I always think of as a sport. There's rules to everything, and how everything plays out. Whereas the fish keeping hobby, there's a lot of different options and different things you can choose from, and there's situational, and it's always everything is there's a general rule for certain things, but there's not always a one solid rule that you have to follow by what someone says or by going back to what we were talking about earlier is finding that mentor to help you out. But at the same time, my solution to this is to don't be afraid to try new things, experiment a little bit and see what works and what doesn't. Because I feel like, in my opinion, sometimes experience is what you learn the best with.
Mm-hmm.
And then see what works, see what doesn't, and yeah, that's kind of my preventative on that note is to learn from experience. Um, so anyone in the chat and you, Brandon, can reflect on that if you want.
Yeah, learning from having done something wrong is definitely the best way I learn. I mean, it's still there are definitely rules in fish keeping that obviously the fish have to be in clean water. That
Mm-hmm.
that being number one. I mean that you start with not good water, and it's just all downhill from that. But yeah, as
Yes.
far as I mean, you have to water change your tank. It's the people that say there's only one way to do. There's multiple ways to do almost everything in this hobby, and it kind
Yep.
of what decides on how you're going to do something is based on so many factors: your setup, the amount of time you have, what you're trying to achieve. So yeah, I mean, just for the beginner aquarist, just keep it simple. It
Yep.
doesn't hurt to have a routine. That way, that things are okay because you don't know as much. It's kind of like a fail
Correct.
safe, I guess.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, I would definitely recommend new fisher keepers kind of just go into it with a routine.
Yeah.
As far as changing water and tank maintenance and checking filters and stuff until you get used to it, you can kind of start to deviate a little bit.
Yeah, and I think those are pretty solid points for new fish keepers. It's getting a routine that works for you between your waters or your maintenance and your waters changes and your schedules for just taking care of your tank and make sure you have clean water. And once you figure out a routine that works best for you, don't feel like if it's working and the main bullet point is keeping your fish alive. And if you want to do a certain routine and it works for you and you don't mind doing it, then more power to you. Never want to overcomplicate things, and just be willing to try things out. And like someone said, sometimes learning is, oh yeah, sometimes says failure is the best teacher. And sometimes that works too. This next one, number 4 for me, which will relate to this. So my number 4, because I have 5 points for tonight. My number 4 is what plants go well with your tank setup. This is what we were talking backstage about. But what plants go well with your tank setup? Example, like with the type of fish you have, the water conditions, like whether you have like well water or city water, if that plays a factor, your proper placements for the plants, and that sort of thing. So that's why when I saw this comment from Sweet Polly, that what would be a good substrate for a beginner that wants live plants. So this is kind of going back to whenever you helped me start my 2.4 gallon. You all right, Branton?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the sun out of my eyes.
Okay. But yeah, this is when I had a lot of help with you to help start my first planted tank. And granted, it's a very, very small tank, but it's keeping it simple, just like, trying to keep this, essentially me, I was a new fish keeper per se. I planted tanks. So what worked for me was that pool filter sand. And you swear by it, and it worked for me and it's working for you. So why don't you help us touch base on this a little bit for us?
So the pool filter sand is nice. It's it's not so fine to where it's going to compact and hurt the roots. It's very light. And my rooted plants do great in it. I mean, if you got to start supplementing with some root tabs, in the beginning until you get some, until you get your seasoned tank, that they're real easy to put in. So like, I hate doing root tabs in gravel. It's just and it's just not fun because there's just so much resistance with the sand. They just slide right in. But I just like the sand from a standpoint that it's also easier to plant the plants. Again, same kind of thing with the root tabs. Like it's hard to plant things in gravel. It works, but if you've got fast growing stems and stuff and you want to trim and replant and move stuff around, I mean, just doing it in gravel is a pain. So
because
my go-to is the pool filter sand for sure.
Yeah, it's I think that makes sense because I can see where gravel, like whenever it was a while ago before we even met, but like I kind of bought a few plants and it didn't work out for me because I was trying to use gravel and I was getting more frustrated than anything because I couldn't even get the plant to stay in the gravel, being new at it. So like all the rocks, they're just kind of moving everywhere and like disturbing, the bacteria that's in the gravel and stuff, and then everything's just going everywhere else, and it was more of a headache for me. So in my experience, with doing the stuff in the pool filter sand, it's just smooth, and they just kind of, once you move the plant there, then the sand just kind of topples over each other and just kind of sets in place.
Yeah. It's also good as far as fish are concerned. I mean, I haven't met a fish that prefers gravel over sand. So there's a lot of fish that prefer sand over gravel. So, I mean, you're kind of just cutting that out of the equation. I mean, just having the sand is nice, depending on what you're keeping. Now, some of if you're trying to keep a fish from digging or something, obviously there's instances where gravel would work a little bit better, but
Curtis says, "Who let Branton in here?"
Yeah. But I mean, as far as that question's concerned, it could go either way. What's the best planted substrate, or what is the best plant, period? So there's a lot of plants that don't need a substrate. You got your guppy grass, you got your hornworts,
stuff that float on top and everything.
Yeah, the floating plants, a lot of nubius, so the epiphyte plants that you can just attach to rocks or wood. And honestly, I mean, a lot of the plants you don't even need to plant them. I've got plants all over my fish room that are in pots with, gravel in the pots, and they're just either gravel or like I have I've got a pot of jungle val right down here that's it's got rocks like this in a big pot, and just to weigh them down, and it's just sitting there so I can move them around. I mean, they don't have to be planted. A lot of the plants don't actually need to be planted, in my opinion. I mean,
you can just leave them in the pot and just let them grow, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Seems like that's what Curtis does a lot with his fish room. Does he do a lot of like a bare bottom stuff? Let's see. There was something I wanted to point out, and it was kind of far up. Oh, it was Lisa was saying that she knew a lot of I know a lot of new to fish keeping people that they have to clean everything in the tank. And as in removing the fish, gravel to the core and everything. Usually fish don't make it. That was the new mistake that I made when I was younger. Like I always thought that like you had to clean the entire tank, and make sure everything looks as pristine as can be, and that's not always the case. And
Ed wanted me to put on my shades. I'm not going to wear them for long because they are You can barely see through these things, and it makes my head hurt.
Yeah, you're welcome. Is there
Don says he refuses to use root tabs, and I honestly I don't use a whole lot of root tabs either. If I'm first setting up a tank and I've got a lot of planted, a lot of rooted plants that I'm putting in there, sometimes I do, but after that I don't put them in there. So it's just kind of I like to use root tabs as like an initial boost,
just to when you first start it, and then afterwards let them do its thing.
Yep.
It's wow. What is FABU?
Fabulous.
Okay. Do you have another point you'd like to bring up? Because I got one more.
I'm trying. Like I said, I lost my list. I'm trying to think of what I had on there.
I can roll with my next one, and then we can try to
go refresh your memory.
Yeah. Okay. And like I said before, people that's coming in as well, feel free to say in the comments and share your experiences with us as well, whether you agree, and it's okay to even disagree with us, because even there was a little bit of discrepancies with the API test kit compared to the test strips. So I think that's a good thing that we can discuss about that. So anything.
I remembered if you want me to go.
What's that?
I said I remembered if you want me to go.
Oh. Remember what?
My next point.
Oh, no. Yeah, let's do it now so we don't forget it again.
Okay. When it comes to fish food, the amount. So like say it's your first time getting a 5 or 10 gallon tank or whatever you're keeping your beta in. This is probably the best example I can come up with. The beta food comes in a decent tub, and if you're feeding your beta properly, you're never going to use all that food before it expires. Just be aware of expiration dates on your food. Try and pick a quality food first and foremost, but also, make sure you're not feeding expired foods. There was a time where I didn't, I thought I would just buy a giant thing of fish food, and I'm like, yeah, I saved, a couple bucks, and this will last me forever. I won't have to go to the store. But then after you're feeding that thing for over a year, it will create all kinds of issues. I've directly seen, in my experience, feeding expired fish food cause bloat in fish, to the point where it's not long before you start getting stuff passing away feeding expired food.
Yeah, I can relate to that too, because when I very first started my Mbuna tank, and granted, I didn't know anything about Northfin, I didn't know anything about Extreme, I didn't know anything about your Sarah companies or whatever have you that has your good quality food. But whenever I did the same thing you did when I first started the African Cichlid and Mbuna tank, is you buy a big tub of food and then it goes past expiration, and not specifically, but I bet you, I can almost guarantee you that I probably went past the expiration date of like the big containers of flake food, because I didn't have a whole lot of Mbunas at the time, but I was just trying to save money, that sort of thing. And I did have, quite a few bloat issues, at the time. And these fish didn't even live their whole lifespan of like 4 to 6 years. They only lasted about a year or two. So yeah, I can relate to that.
Yep.
One thing that I do want to point out, now that we're on this subject too, is there was a podcast that KG Tropicals did with Northfin, I believe it was. And I listened into most of it, but what the guy from Northfin was basically explaining is John from KG Tropicals was asking him, hey, if I have, a sealed container of food that I haven't opened yet, but it's going past the expiration date, is it okay to use? And the guy from Northfin said that as long as it's sealed and it's unopened and it hasn't been touched, that he said that it's okay to use. Now, whenever you open it, he would definitely recommend trying using the most for what your fish and your tank setup can allow. So that way it still stays fresh. Keep sealing in that container once you open it up, You said there's no problem with feeding them expired food as long as the seal and everything, it's all in its
Yeah.
original package and has been opened. You said there's
Yeah,
no problem. So
that's a good point. Yeah, because the expiration really starts. I mean, obviously, if you got some fish food that's 10 years old and hasn't been opened, I wouldn't be feeding that. But yeah, realistically, the expiration starts from when you open it, and typically, you know, a rule of thumb for me is like 3 to 4 months. If if you're closing it after every use and storing it properly, that food will last 3 or 4 months before it starts going bad.
yeah. And I have so many fish down here that I go through. I haven't been here. I go through. This I just got. This is a 3.5 ounce. This is krill flakes, and this is what I feed all of my smaller fish and fry. And I'll go through this in about maybe a month or so.
Yeah.
And which is still good. So if it ever goes, within 3 or 4 months, which it never does, I probably would just throw the rest of it out, and just go get a new one because it's not a big deal, So
yep. Yeah, luckily for me, I have that blackworm culture. So any of my foods that are getting expired, they kind of go
fresh,
they kind of go towards that.
Just like us when we go to a seafood restaurant that's on the coast of South Carolina and they're bringing in shrimp boats, and putting them right on the fryer, just fresh, nothing better.
Yeah.
All right, so let me go to my final topic here. Is I think one of the things that new fish keepers can sometimes make a mistake on, and we kind of touch base on this a little bit too, but just not to overthink and make things overcomplicated for yourself. It's really honestly not that difficult when you look on the grand scheme of things. And even Jesse said this on his live stream a little bit too, that just go and sit in front of your tanks and just enjoy for what it is. Monitor your fish and watch it. Don't get too stressed out. Don't overthink things. Do what is necessary, of course, if you have regression with your cichlids, or if you need to change your water, or if there's something going with your water quality, to figure it out. But if it's too stressful for you, and if you're overthinking things and making things complicated, rearranging your tank all the time, then there's something else you need to figure out to make you enjoy the hobby more. Because if it becomes a point to where it's work, then you probably shouldn't be doing the hobby. You never want to go over that line of it being too much and overcomplicate things, because it'll be stress on the fish, it'll be stress for you, and then you won't want to do it anymore. So in a nutshell, that's kind of like my preventative thing, is just to sit and enjoy the hobby. So that's my final thought on that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely don't overwhelm yourself. I mean, honestly, I like the grind of working in my tanks, which is probably why I have as many as I do. If I didn't, then I wouldn't have this many tanks. But taking care of 34 tanks is it's a lot. And with my experience comes ways that I can reduce that. The live plants go a long way, and kind of as like a safety net. Obviously, over time you learn things that are faster and easier. But yeah, as a new fish keeper, don't overwhelm yourself. It won't be enjoyable anymore.
Yeah, I say this all the time, but you just don't want to do that. You don't want to cross that line. You want to be able to, the whole point of doing this is just being able to enjoy the hobby, learn from it. And then if it becomes too stressful for you, we have this great YouTube community that we can help each other out with. Don't feel like you need to go to your local fish store or try to get, someone that, is just, I don't know. I just feel like we have so many people here in this YouTube community and through the chat, I'm more than welcome to try to share my experience. I know a lot of my fish are mainly African cichlids, so that's kind of, my experience. But, you have several people within planted tanks, big fish, big tanks, smaller tanks, planted tanks. I don't know. I mean, there's just so many people here that we all can get to know each other, and then do the whole auction thing, online auction, physical auction, whatever. There's so many people you can get good information from to lead you in the right direction to help you out. So yeah, it's just, you just gotta sit back and enjoy, because one thing that I don't like seeing is seeing like a new fish keeper just stressed on just their one tank that they're like, well, what if this is happening? What if this is happening? It's like it's gonna be okay. We'll figure it out and just take your time. It'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Swiffle's in. Thanks for coming in, Swiffle. Lisa says, really helps to find a supportive online group to ask questions and get help. A group that is positive and encouraging to everyone, especially beginners. Lisa, Jesse's got a Discord. It hasn't been as active as I've seen it, but I'm on there and I look on that thing every day, whether there's 0 comments or 5 comments on there, just to see if there's anything that I can help somebody with. And like I said, I'm a little bit more African cichlid, based, so that's where my help is going to come in. But it's a great place to just post something in if you have any questions or comments or concerns. I'm more than happy to chat with you for a little bit. I'm sure Brandon would do the same thing for you guys and anyone else that you know.
If you're trying to get a hold of me on Discord, it really helps to @ me. So like @ Branton Lightcap, because I find myself kind of Discord goes like on the back burner and I just forget about it.
Yeah, because
I've got a lot going on in my life, but yeah, I mean, if you directly, @ me, I'm on.
Yep. So for Discord, that's a good point to bring up because I didn't think about that. But I actually have I have all notifications turned off except for there's a spot on Discord for in the settings where you put the @ mentions, and that only notifies like you have to say @ and then me or you per se, and that way I'll get notified and saying, hey, I enjoyed your live stream, or hey, I noticed about this, or hey, I saw this, or I have a question about that. Just @ me so that way I get notified about it, because otherwise we all have lives, we all have family, we all have things going on. We can't always be at our fingertips trying to answer everyone's questions, but we will do our best, in this community to try to help each other out, and that's the point. So, but yeah, is there anything else that you feel that you want to have as a tip for a new fish keeper, or are you?
My last tip would be, and this could be taken quite a few ways, but honestly, just stay out of the big box stores. I mean, just don't even go there. Just find a nice local mom and pop store with locally bred fish that are gonna live, have been through a quarantine process. And I think starting off with healthy fish is probably one of the most important things you can do. It's going to lead you to early success. You're not going to have to deal with fish disease, because that's a whole nother wormhole of trying to treat fish disease. I mean, that's not fun. It's expensive. The meds are not cheap.
No, they are not.
Man, it's really depressing to get some fish that you're really excited about, and then all of a sudden they're sick and you're trying to save them, and you got family that, like my girls, if they're overly sensitive about things dying, or let's save the fish. And it just do yourself a favor, don't get things from big box stores when you're starting out. I mean, when you get some more experience under your belt and you can go into a store and notice fish that are healthy and not healthy, it's a little bit different story. If you know how to treat fish, that's another thing. But just starting out, stay out of the big box store if you can. Some people don't have that option. So if you are going to the big box store, look at the fish, watch the fish before you buy them, and make sure they're acting, like I guess like a fish should. I mean, if you notice anything odd, don't even try it. But it also goes back to a lot of this. Sorry to keep steamrolling here, but I'm
go for it.
On a rant here.
It's all you, man. You go.
A lot of the stuff in the big box stores too, and I mean, you might see this in your mom and pop stores too, but they got to make a living. But the cost of, like, if you want to buy specific things that are marketed for aquariums, are typically marked up because they're for aquariums, where in reality a lot of things that you can just go to Home Depot or Menards or any of your hardware stores and buy, like the pool filter sand we talked about earlier, you can get a 50-pound bag of that for $10. A 50-pound bag of aquarium sand, which, while it may look cool, it probably has some color to it, whatever, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. The filter cartridges that they want you to do, I mean, just buy some media buy a sponge that comes this big and cut your own media. I mean, there's so many ways that a beginner aquarist gets sucked into spending all this money when it doesn't necessarily need to be spent. And if you want to spend that money, that's perfectly fine. Those products work. They do what they can. But I mean, there are so many avenues where you can save money as a new fish keeper rather than getting everything for your fish tank at an aquarium store.
Yeah, I think those are some solid points. And I wanted to reflect on that too, that it's very easy to get yourself wrapped into a big box store. But when you look at the grand scheme of things of what keeps a fish tank alive, there's a lot of things that are readily available that I feel like, as an example, like aquarium salt. Why is it more expensive than just going and buying your teals? We were talking about this before, buying your Epsom salt or any type of rock salt that you want to do for medicating your fish. Why is it so much more? Because they put aquarium in front of it. And it has a big name like API. Does that mean that you have to use that? No, of course not. Do you want to use it? Yeah, go ahead, knock yourself out. I still have some left that I use, but I use a mixture between that and just pure Epsom salt. And I've had fish heal from that as well. And I have bought the nice sand, but I also have, let's see, 1/6. So all my 10 gallons I transferred to the pool filter sand. 20s have the more expensive sand, and then I would say about half of my tanks down here, if I'm looking at them now, have that pool filter sand in it. And some of that fancy sand, you're going to be spending like, I've seen even at some local fish stores, small businesses that they're trying to make a living, they'll sell like a 20-pound bag for $37 for one bag, 20 pound. I'm like, that's nuts. It's like, I just spent $10 on a 50-pound bag of pool filter sand. So don't always feel like you have to go big or go home. Sometimes might be okay just to get the blasting sand. I went to a gentleman's house that I met through Facebook, and he uses a lot of that blasting sand, and he buys the cheaper sand too, and it works. He said he isn't cheap, but he said at the same time there's just other ways that if he doesn't have to spend the money on it, and he's okay with how everything looks, and that's all that matters, keeping the fish alive.
Yeah, and it's kind of all relative, I guess, what you're trying to achieve. If you've got your nice big show tank and you want that specific look, I mean, by all means, spend the money. I mean, if it's going to be something that you really enjoy watching and that's what you want, get it.
Yeah.
But as a new aquarist, just know that sand is sand. I mean, rocks are rock. I mean, it just be, there's a lot of things marketed for aquariums and are more expensive because of it that you can get outside or at the hardware store or, wherever.
I have one show tank where I did everything big, and that's, of course, is my 125 Frontosa tank. It's got the, aqua decor background and everything. That was just one thing that I said, you know what, I'm just going to go big on this just for my one tank and really enjoy it, that sort of thing. My 220 is a different story because I got that through Marketplace, but it was like, I'm going to do one tank for myself and really spend the time and energy and money to do it just because I want to have that experience. But when owning a fish room and having MTS, there really is no purpose to spend a ton of money on tanks that, if you have the MTS, you might as well just enjoy it, and go to your hardware store. There's no sense in buying all the expensive stuff, and especially like the hang on the backs. That's what I wanted to bring up too, is you can buy the cartridges, but if you're going to keep rolling with those cartridges, you're just going to spend more money than you probably will ever spend on any of those filters. You can easily just buy filter floss, or polyfill or anything like that, and it does the exact same thing. And carbon's not really like a necessity for filtration either. No. If you want to get rid of medicating or something like that, that's fine. If you want, something to be as crystal clear as it can be, then that's fine. But I always think that once you buy that hang on the back filter and all your cartridges are gone, because it came with your kit when you first start the hobby, that's fine. Use those cartridges. There's no wrong, I'm not saying you're doing it wrong, but I'm just saying once those cartridges end, just find another way to get media to save yourself some money.
Yep.
What did Zen say? Zen says if it wasn't more consistent and pure, I don't think Instant Ocean would still be supplying big public aquariums. If it was just as good, those places would buy the cheaper bulk option. Yep. Yeah, that's definitely a good point.
Yeah, but in those systems you're talking, I mean, I don't
What's
know
that?
how much. I guess the public aquariums in those instances, I mean, you're talking. I don't know how much whale shark at the Shed Aquarium costs to replace,
Oh yeah,
but if I mean, you know, so
that's
it's
true.
all kind of relative as to what what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, it's all intended as to what the purpose is, the location, and what type of fish, and what your audience and what you want the person who's taking care of it, and what the audience is that are going to see the aquariums. It's kind of like where the drive is, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see here. Anything else? Hey, how's it going? All things. Happy Sunday to you. Um, I think we covered quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think we're all caught up on
Like I
chat.
said, when I stopped my list, I had like 30 things. I mean, we could sit here and go all day, but yeah, I think what it boils down to, my biggest advice that I can offer. Somebody kind of mentioned it earlier, but if you can, in your own best judgment, find yourself a good mentor if you can, and then do your due diligence and know ahead of time as much as you can. I mean,
Yeah.
Research. The internet is a beautiful thing. Be careful, pick your sources wisely. Don't go on some Facebook group and start gathering a bunch of
Facebook
information
groups are the
from,
freaking devil.
oh my God.
Yeah, it's almost ridiculous that all people care about is their own opinion, and they're just pointing fingers at how many things you're doing wrong. That's all those groups are.
So yeah, find a decent resource for information and just absorb that. I mean,
yeah,
do the work and read and get a familiarity with what you're about to start. And that I think as long as you do that, you'll be okay.
And another thing too that like a new fish keeper could do is one, like you said, avoid big box stores because they're just there for a paycheck, more than likely. But some of these local fish stores, if you just talk to the owner if they're available, especially if it's like maybe not like a real small place, but at least a place to where you know exactly what companies they're ordering from. Like for example, I go to a place that Jen from Happy Place Aquatics suggested to me, and I've been going to this place for a while now. The guy who owns that place is George, and I talk to him directly every time I go there. And he tells me where he orders his fish from, he quarantines all the fish, and everything that he does is like it's a small place, but it's very pristine, and you can tell that he takes a lot of work and pride into taking care of his place. And this is just like your normal local fish store, not a big box store. And if you just talk to an owner and see what their process is and ask them questions about how they run their fish room and stuff, then that's sometimes right there that can lead in the right direction. As someone sometimes can get a good mentor to say, hey, if I keep coming in here, can you help me with different things, and have that knowledge and experience for someone to keep going to. And I think that'll be helpful too.
Mm-hmm.
Quick hello from Jose. Need to get my rearing gear and sit down
Jose?
and complete online training and test 2 of 4 done. Work-related blanket hello. So thanks, Jose. Thanks for coming and hanging out. We are doing a giveaway here in a little bit. So we could probably get that rolling too.
Yeah.
This is my buddy Tim. I helped him get his first aquarium set up.
Nice.
So he's been doing that.
Doesn't that make you feel good when you can do that? I mean,
yeah.
I think that's like the epitome of keeping fish is being that mentor to somebody that's new to the hobby and kind of steering them in the right direction.
Yeah, and I feel like I've done a pretty good deal of helping him out. I got him a stand that I had that I was no longer needing because I was making more racks and stuff. So I gave that to him, and he's since bought another stand. But I've helped him through like getting like different media and stuff, and gravitating away from the cartridges, and then just helping him out through the process. And it's kind of a good feeling to be able to help someone do that, with experience as someone who's starting fresh. Don't overwhelm yourself too much, like we were discussing earlier. So it's nice to be able to have that. Any other points you want to bring up on your list of 30 that disappeared?
Man, I don't know. I would have to.
You can bring up one more if you could summarize that, because I think a good summary, we've kind of done that already. So if you want to bring up another one just for shits and giggles.
Man, I don't know. I think I kind of combined a lot of them in the rants that I went on during this talk, because they were all separate things. I kind of meshed them all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's go on with the giveaway. Maybe I'll have something jump out at me. But
and anyone else that even when we're doing the giveaway and setting this all up and being my first time, so everyone be nice. Regardless,
Don says patience. That's a good one.
Yes, patience.
Don't try and rush it.
Yeah, that is probably the hardest thing as a new fish keeper, is especially like if you get like the breeding, once you get experience and you start breeding fish and you start to realize, oh my gosh, these fish take forever to grow. Or even just getting your fish and just realizing like, oh, I bought this fish and a full grown fish, they're really nice. And so you want to, this is another suggestion. I'm glad someone brought this up. For some reason, it reminded me of this point too. But being patient and watch those fish grow up. So this kind of relates to what I was thinking about is, you all right?
Yeah, I'm just making sure that Fish Fam Link has your live going. Otherwise,
I found it.
Oh, you're already good?
Yeah, I found it, and then I went to I selected my live stream.
All right, cool.
So
I haven't seen Linky in the chat, so I was just started kind of questioning it in my head.
Okay, but if possible, and if you're patient enough, and that's why I like bringing patience up.
There it is.
Is buy okay, cool. Brain fart. Oh, so if you buy fish small, I think that you're going to be in a better case scenario, especially when you get into like the African cichlids or even like the bigger fish and stuff like that. That if you can get the tank size and if you can go big or go home, and not necessarily on what we just talked about with the substrate decorations and filtration, that sort of thing. But just generally speaking, if you can start these fish all relatively small and they all grow up together, the chances of them getting along, from my experience, are a lot better than if you were to buy from this store, buy from that store, and get fish from, this online website. This is just talking from my experience. Now, some people, it might have worked out, and that's great, but that would be my suggestion. If you can buy the fish small and just watch them grow up and be patient, then it's very rewarding in the end to spend a lot of time and years and see these fish grow. And you'll be like, yep, because that's what I'm doing with my Frontosa tank. Is I bought them when they were only about like this big, and they're slow growers, but all of them are still living. They're all still doing really good. And I want to be able to, say, 10, 15 years from now when they're all full grown, and say, yeah, I started them when they were only like a couple inches big, and just be patient.
So yeah, I had one come to me. So this kind of plays back on the food thing. While you can buy a general community flake and be okay in probably 80% of the fish that you're ever going to keep, there are certain fish that require certain dietary needs, and you need to understand that.
Yes.
And that also kind of plays into understanding, I guess, what your fish eat. So I know a lot of people have been sold plecos and cory cats and fish that live on the bottom of the tank as cleaner fish. While they will clean your aquarium, they're not going to eat your poop. You're still going to have to change the water, and eventually, so like with plecos, we'll take them for example. While they're small, they can fit into crevices and cracks where nothing else can get, and they can eat algae and biofilms off of surfaces. But once they get bigger, I mean, it is very important to directly feed those animals, or they will starve and they will die. I've had it happen to me when I first got in the hobby. A lot of these fish marketed as cleaner fish, they need to be fed specifically. Also, they're not going to survive off the 1-2 scraps of your rainbows gobbling all the food at the top of the aquarium or whatever you got up there. And so it's a good idea to understand that no fish is going to clean your aquarium for you. While they may help, it's very important to also feed those fish.
You know what the best cleaning fish there is in the entire hobby? You. I'm talking to all you guys in chat out there. You are the best fish cleaning. You're the best fish cleaner in the tank. And all seriousness though, I mean that really all comes down to, you can buy anything that helps, but it's not going to be the solution to continue to do your water changes and to continue to make sure your water parameters are good, and make sure your fish are styling and profiling and surviving.
Yep.
Malnutrition is what Ed says too.
That's what I mean by understanding their dietary needs.
Yep. One of these fish foods on my giveaway, that it directly says, I did a short on this too, about, it was kind of a comedic one, but says staple food without dyes and preservatives, and the first thing is like insect meal and protein. Very easily digest. You want to look for stuff like that. Like your Mbunas, they're going to want the more veggie-based diet. Like you said before with plecos, you can't just stick a pleco in a tank and be like, oh, he's just going to clean the algae out the tank, he'll survive. They need that extra veggie, just to be able to even put like real vegetables in, or even your veggie pellets. They're going to need a little extra, and that's why I always plop in a couple of these whenever I feed these guys, because there's a pleco in here along with some loaches. They need some of that veggie material for them to be able to survive and have a healthy life. And my go-to foods, this is just me personally, is extreme. Of course, like I showed you, I always feed these guys, or my small fish, this, but then North Bend pellets, anywhere between cichlid to veggie to the krill pellets. Those are always my go-to. And then I'll feed them once a week. I'll do like bloodworms and brine shrimp to like my peacock and hat tank, the bigger fish. But high quality food. It might be more expensive, but if you think of it this way too,
it is more expensive.
it is very more expensive, but I'm trying to think of it as a perspective of, if you buy the non-quality food that's cheaper, and then your fish end up getting disease or bloat or something like that, there are all these additives that aren't good for your fish, like junk food, like basically having your fish going to McDonald's every day as opposed to buying nutritious stuff for them. They're not going to last as long, and in the long run, you're going to be buying more fish, and then you're going to be buying more of that food, which in turn isn't good for your fish. Keep eating this unhealthy food, as opposed to if you buy this healthy stuff and you feed them the right amount, then they're going to survive longer. You're going to enjoy the hobby more. Your fish aren't going to come up with as many diseases and that sort of thing.
Yep. And like I said, we can keep going on the food thing for a long time. I mean,
that's a whole different subject.
Yeah, if you're feeding quality food, I mean, just inherently your water quality is going to be a lot better, because the fish is going to utilize that food a lot better. You're going to have less waste in the tank. I mean, there's just so many variables. So just sticking with a good quality food and understanding what your fish specifically need and making sure they get fed first and foremost goes a long way for beginners.
Yes.
So that money you're saving from buying the pool filter sand, spend it on some quality food.
Yep. Just kind of take away from something and put it into something else. That makes a huge difference.
Uh-huh. I used them for a stream yesterday.
Was she looking for her glasses?
Everybody wanted me to wear pink. Yeah.
I wanted to bring up.
Weird. They think I really like pink. You want to say hello?
Hello. We really liked your dad's glasses. They look good on him.
They like the glasses and the microphone and the headband.
Not mine.
Yep.
Yes, I told everybody they were yours.
And I was looking for that headband.
Oh, you can have it. We're gonna do a giveaway and we're wrapping this up and I'll come down, okay? Here, you can take your stuff if you want.
I want to bring up one more thing before we do the giveaway.
Yep.
That I actually do want to. I do believe this is a good point. Is for new fish keepers, do the best that you can afford. Because as we all know, the fish keeping hobby, if you're really into it and the MTS sets in, then only do what your time management can handle and what you can afford, because they can get expensive really quick if you're not careful enough. So do what you can afford, and to your living situations, to your job, to your space of where you keep your tanks. And everyone that if they do like the hobby, there's a lot that plays into that. So do what you can afford and what you really enjoy with your living situations, and enjoy the hobby. I mean, that's kind of an important thing I like to bring up, and thanks for June for bringing that up. So yeah, hey Craig, I don't know if I saw you in here earlier, but we have a question. I have a question. Has anyone ever used the cricket and mealworms meant for chickens? I assume it would be okay for fish.
I have not.
Me neither.
Yeah, I have not.
Sorry, I have not. I have no help on that. I apologize.
I peed in my room.
Okay. You can have them back. I just borrowed them.
But we are going to go ahead and get this giveaway started.
Yeah.
Even my headband?
Yeah, I'll show you the stream that I wore them on after this. Okay.
I still have to look at that too.
Wait,
I got to see this. I got to see this whole karaoke night.
You want me to do again? Okay, she wants me to put it on again real quick.
All right. Man, looking pretty good.
No, don't turn that on. It'll
Bluetooth mode.
We might lose you if that goes on Bluetooth mode.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. It kind
Yeah,
of
we're
glitched
good.
there for a second. So yeah, this is how I rock the obviously I got my mic. This mic doesn't
Do nothing.
but yeah.
What was your
But yeah, these
what was your song of choice for karaoke night?
no, I did not have a song that I sang. Here you go, baby.
Give my headband back.
There you go. I'll be
Give
back.
my headband.
All right, I'll be down in a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Love you.
Go to Prodigal said.
I'm sorry. Okay. Bye.
Wonderful. So I have 3 giveaways. My first giveaway, the two giveaways I'm doing first, they're relatively the same. There's only like slight differences between the two, but they're basically like a small little care package. So what I did was I got a 6-inch fish net from Seachem. It's pretty solid. It's not like your typical one you get from Amazon that bends and stuff like that. So it's got a solid handle to it. I got Vibra bites from Hikari, some food samples. Of course, you guys are going to get a couple stickers for me, just for, winning the giveaway, of course. And then I got this. This is something I got from Siche, because there was a heater that malfunctioned, and they just gave this to me. And I didn't use it at all. And it's been sitting around for a while. And I figure if I'm not using it, I'd rather have someone else use it instead of me. But Yeah, that's what I have for my first giveaway. It's kind of like a little
Nice.
backpack thing. So, um, uh, not the TD net. Yeah, you need some. Oh, I'm in. Okay. Yeah, we don't want like a little small one. I still use those for mine just because I have small fish. But yeah, let's see if we can do this. Let's do. You said you normally do hashtag. We'll do.
Yep.
We're not going to do caps or anything. SICCE is how you say and how I pronounce CJ. Create.
There it is.
Now, is there a way that I can share the screen, or is there a way that I can do that, kind of like what you guys are doing when you spin the wheel?
Yeah, you can share screen. So there should be an option there to share screen on StreamYard.
Like, is it under present?
Yeah.
Share screen. Okay.
And then you select which screen you want to share.
Okay.
And there you go.
Sweet.
Yeah, like I said, pretty simple.
Wonder if I can pick a little different option here. All right, how's that look? What do you think?
Yeah.
You got to refresh.
Yep, and then the spin button. In fear of refreshing after you've already been spinning, you can actually click anywhere in the wheel and it will spin. So you don't actually have to click the spin button.
Okay. So that way you don't accidentally hit refresh then.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Have you known from experience?
No, but I've seen people do it. I think Kyle did it one time.
Yeah, we'll give people a few minutes to roll in here. We got 21 people watching, so.
Ooh, I got my favorite color.
You are pink, just like your sunglasses. So
Yep, Steven's done it once. Again, learning by failure is sometimes the best way.
Yep. Everyone, hashtag CJ. There's 2 more giveaways, so if you guys don't get this, then there's a couple more. So, and keep in mind too that for anyone that is involved in the giveaway, the best way to get a hold of me is you can private message me through Jesse's Discord for your contact information, or you can message me on private message on Facebook or Instagram for your contact information. And that's how I'll send this stuff to you guys. So just an FYI. There was something else that you wanted to say too, right?
Yeah, probably got to be here to win. Usually
yeah, you have to be here to win. And we'll go with elimination too, so we'll just go with the last man standing as well. Got 8 entries so far. 20 people watching. Yeah, we are doing the last man standing. Hey, what's going on, Jorge? If you want to join this giveaway, well, we're doing 3 giveaways tonight. We had a pretty good discussion about new fish keepers and what mistakes they make and how we prevent them. And it's not necessarily a bash from them, but it's more or less like a way that we can learn from each other and try to help the new fish keepers keep their fish alive and give them the best knowledge they can, so that way they don't make the same mistakes or make any repeatable mistakes. Or even, come to the fact of teaching an old dog new tricks. I meant to bring that up, and I just now thought of that. That's always something that you can do too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know it's not as, how do I word this? Like, you won't see it as much, but every so once in a while, you might have someone who's been in the hobby for a few years that figured something out that worked for them. And it was like, you know what? maybe someone that's been in the community for 20 years, I'd be like, you know what, that's a really good idea. Like, I guess an example I could give would be like you're starting to see the pre-sponge filters on intake tubes a lot more nowadays. So it seems like, a lot of people are trying to go that route, which is in my opinion, I think is a great benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag CJ, no cats for their first giveaway.
All right, my phone is at 20%. I didn't realize my phone was going to be dying. So I'm going to run downstairs and grab a charger.
Okay.
Swivel asked, how can people enter if they're not here? It's not that they can't enter and not be here. It's sometimes people enter and then they leave. So when the winner is drawn, you just have to be here. It's just easier. That way you won, and somebody's not, like Joe's not left trying to track down somebody that won and has no idea how to get a hold of them, or vice versa.
Yep.
I will be right back.
Yep. Sounds good. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 11 entries and 20 people watching.
Hey, this is for you.
I will give it a few more minutes, guys, while Brandon gets his charger. I think we made some really good points. I really liked doing this with Branton. We've had some pretty good discussions talking about various things tonight to help new fish keepers in the hobby. I think mainly it just comes down to just enjoy it for what it's worth and try not to give up, And if it's becoming too stressful, then, take a step back and kind of dot your I's and cross your T's every now and then and see what works. And then, high quality foods, just trying to kind of reminisce a little bit of, summarize of what we all talked about tonight. If you go the planted tank, sometimes a dirted planted tank isn't the best route to go. It might work for some, but I think for a new fish keeper, trying to keep things simple for them to not scare them away from the hobby. Know what size your fish are, for their tank size. And don't get caught up on too many things that'll stress you out or anything.
Yep.
So we've had a good discussion tonight.
Yeah, I mean, don't overcomplicate it. Just keep it simple. Keep something hardy. Keep something easy. Don't go out and get some obscure fish that nobody's ever heard of as your first fish. I mean, just make your first tank easy and get your feet wet.
Yeah, my first was a 29 gallon, and I still have it to this day, just on a different stand now. But I started easy. I just got tetras and guppies and just simple.
Mm-hmm.
22 people watching. I'll let this go for a few more minutes. We got 12 entries. And anyone that's in the chat, feel free to relay the message to your fish folks in the YouTube community that we all talk to. If they want to join in, they can. But like we had discussed before, you have to at least be here in the chat and hanging out with us to get the items. Hashtag Sicce. SICCE, all lowercase. Branton, Jose was asking, does the wheel automatically add the name based on hashtag? And I think you said that it doesn't. That's just something that I put in there. And that's kind of how you do it, right?
So whatever Joe puts in, if he puts in a hashtag Sicce like we're doing, you have to put hashtag Sicce to be on the wheel.
So exactly just like that. Because that's what I set this up for.
So now, just so you know, Joe, you will be on the wheel.
What's that?
Just so you know, since you entered that in the chat, you are now on the wheel.
Oh, well, I will. We will do
Which
this.
Which is
Hopefully,
fine.
I'll get eliminated.
Should Joe win the giveaway, whoever was eliminated before him wins.
I didn't mean to do that. I was just trying to help everybody out in the chat. So I'm learning from experience.
You're good. Yeah, sometimes Linky doesn't come through, and people will put their own hashtag in the chat. I mean, it does not a big deal. Yep, like Zen said, second place will just get it.
Yep. That'll work. Yeah. So if for some reason I win, then we'll go with that. All right, it's 7:38. Let's go to 7:40, and then we'll start this wheel up. So anyone else can join in. You're more than welcome to. I have 2 more after this. Let's see here. Did we get Cece's in here? Yep, there she is. 15. We're getting closer. 15 and 21 watching. I never saw my folks in here tonight. I don't know if they popped in or not.
I haven't seen them either.
Cece, I think it's pronounced Ciche, I believe.
It is, yeah. At least that's how I've heard it always said.
Yep. Finally being first loser is a good thing. All right, 1 more minute, guys. You're right, though, Brandon. This thing really isn't that hard to figure out.
No, super easy. Yeah, you were wanting to do a test run stream, but I mean,
you really can't do it without everybody in here.
Yeah, I mean, I can walk you through it, but yeah, without everybody in here, it's kind of, you can only do half of it,
Yeah. Yeah, saying it wrong. Yep. Duck races. All righty.
Don.
See you later. Thanks for coming in. All righty. We are going to start this where everyone. So good luck to everyone and good luck to me. No, I'm just kidding. 1 more refresh and then we are going to spin this. We got 19 entries. Sweet.
Nancy, hashtag Ciche.
Okay. Let's get her in here. If not, there will be another one after this. We get her?
Not yet.
Come on, Nancy. Come on in for the giveaway. Some fish food, a fish net, and a Ciche bag. You're welcome. Sweet. Awesome. All right. That's it, guys. We're spinning. Good luck to everybody. Oh, no. CC's. So I got to hit remove and close?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And then you can just click anywhere in the wheel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lisa, no. Here we go. Chris Goody. Sorry, buddy. We got 2 more, so keep coming. Keep coming in on the giveaways. Jose, no. Sweet Polly. Sorry, buddy. Nancy B. Sorry, Nancy. MNC Aquatics. Sorry, man. Got 2 more to go. Sorry, Geek Boy. I'm tempted to keep hitting the spin button. Gotta stay in the wheel. Oh, June. It's all right. Plenty of time left. Sorry, Ed.
Woo!
Sorry, Linda.
Liner.
Oh, sorry, Curtis. Keep hanging out with us, everybody, though, because there's a couple more giveaways. Sorry, Swiffle. That's WFL. All right. Getting down to the wire. Oh, then it'll be all right. Metal song.
No.
Oh, Branton.
That's all right. I'm used to that.
Me too. I think I've only won one of these on a live stream before. Sorry, Slim. I'm still on here. This is retarded. Or I'm sorry, rigged. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry, guys. This is wouldn't that be ridiculous if I won this?
Well, technically, you can't even win.
Oh my gosh. So I'm
Yep.
not going to put my name in here next time. Sorry, Jim.
So who do we have left?
It's me. What are the odds? This is nuts. This is my friend Tim, who I helped start his 29-gallon aquarium.
There you go.
So
he's the winner.
he won.
Yeah.
Tim, you just won. So that makes things
I would still
easy.
Still cycle through it so you can.
All right.
Oh,
Fair
yeah.
enough.
So he won outright.
We're good. That makes it easy.
Yep.
So Tim, I can just next time I see you, Tim, you'll I think you already got stickers, but if you want more, that's fine. You know, I believe I already got stickers. If not, but yeah, Tim got the CJ bag, the Hikari bites, and the CJ bag. Fantastic. So congrats to Tim / Shadow Shrug. That's just funny how like the last 2 people that were left are the me and my friend Tim. All right, so where do we go to from here for our second giveaway?
So there should be create new giveaway.
Do I just hit the giveaway in the top right again, or is there an actual? Oh, I see it. Never mind. Okay. Live stream. Let's see, price tag. All right, so this one, guys. Can you guys see the screen that I'm doing, by the way?
Yep.
Okay. We're gonna do hashtag. Okay, so I don't know. Let me see if I can widen the screen real quick.
There you go.
It's the same, except that I have a food from Sarah. It's a good staple food. We were talking earlier about how it has no preservatives or dyes with insect meal and high quality and protein source. So there's the food instead of the other one. Of course, you get a couple stickers. I also have another fishnet, the same fishnet that was on the other one. And then this one, instead of a CJ bag, you got a aquarium co-op bag.
All right.
So let's do, let's see here. Branton, I'll let you choose the hashtag for this one.
Okay. Let's do hashtag giveaway.
Okay. All lowercase, GIVEAWAY.
And then
And
just so you know, Joe, the hashtags are not case sensitive. So if somebody wants to put it in all caps, I don't think it matters.
Okay.
Here, I'll do mine in all caps, and we'll see if it matters. For
Okay.
sure. We'll do a live test here.
All right. Let me set this aside for Tim. Tim, if you don't know anything about the company Siche, it's a very reputable company. They make very high-end products, but they work really well, but they are very expensive.
Yep,
So,
Italian made.
yes, that is correct. They're very nice equipment. I've heard not very many bad things about them, if any at all, to be honest.
Yeah, I have two Siche products. I have two internal filters. I have one that is suction cup. It's the Siche. I forget. They're both similar products, but the Siche Nano Shark is the newest one that I have. That's held on with a magnet, and that thing.
Yeah, I've heard very good things about that.
I use it to bounce around in my 10-gallon tanks to polish the water.
Okay.
So every day it gets moved to a new 10-gallon tank, and it just helps keep, because I run all sponges in my 10-gallon, so it just kind of helps keep the particulates down.
That makes sense. And it's pretty easy to maintain too, I assume.
Yeah, they got little cubes on the bottom of them that just pop off. You wash the media, put it back in, and pop them back on. The magnet is super nice. I like the magnet. Magnet's cool. The only thing you got to watch out for, the magnet is really strong, so
don't pinch your fingers.
Hold on to the magnet too. Don't let it suck it out of your hands. I mean, you don't want to break your glass that way. And also
that too.
Make sure nothing's behind it when you connect that magnet, because if there is, I've smashed a few snails on the glass doing that.
So it doesn't matter about the caps because you're in on it.
Okay, yeah. So caps don't matter, and that's what
Nancy
I thought.
Nancy did the same thing. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the Siche products. I'm trying to think offhand. The heat. I think the only thing that I have, I guess I have to kind of take that back a little ways. I like the Siche products because I've heard good things about them. From my personal experience, I don't have anything but a Siche heater myself, but I've seen enough Siche products that I personally think, without using them, they do really well. So try not to be a hypocrite here.
Yeah, I'm watching my Pseudomugil Gertrude spawning right now in the spawning mob.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Jesse's double dipping. Jesse, if you sign in on your other account too.
No. The wife's okay. We don't need multiple accounts. We don't need to open that can of worms.
Come on, guys, play fair. Geek Boy says, I'm split on Siche. I've had good luck with Siche pumps. I use 2 of them every water change. Had bad luck with the whale canister filter. All right, so I do have a Siche Ultra Zero pump, but the crazy thing is there's nothing wrong with it. It works well. I have to look at the box to remember the exact gallons per hour on it, but like I have like something from Amazon, and it's just like this green pump, and that thing shoots out more water than that Siche Ultra Zero pump does. I don't know if it's just even if when I made the hose, the hose attachment bigger, it really didn't make a difference. I still use it and it works great, but I was just kind of really surprised. I thought I'd be pulling more water out because the Siche Ultra Zero pump was like twice as big as what that little small green pump from Amazon is. Jesse, that's all right. Yeah, Gene, like I said, I don't have a whole lot of products, but it seems like a lot of people like them. Cheaters. Swiftful treasure detecting. Let's see here. Let's refresh. We're gonna go. We have 23 people watching and 19 entries, so we'll go till 7:55. And it's 7:52 right now. So everyone get your name in. Hashtag giveaway for this one. In the meantime, while we wait, I'm going to put a link in the chat for the final giveaway. That is my final giveaway there. I have no use for this product. It was something that was given to me by AQQA, and I used it once for a video purpose, and I haven't used it since because it's not feasible for my fish room. And I actually make that note in my video that it's not a bad item to use. It's basically a multifunctional vacuum gravel cleaner, water changer, whatever you call it. But it's just something that I don't personally use because I have my own equipment, and like we were talking earlier, my system works for me and I don't need to use this product. So I've had it for a while and I put everything back in the box. I can even show you guys.
Hey, Cheryl.
Like this is what it is. Let me just make the camera here. Go in here real quick. So this is the last giveaway we'll do next. But I mean, like I said, I used it once for the video.
Yeah, I like that thing. It was neat, but yeah, if you're trying to maintenance a bunch of aquariums, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
And that's why I can't use it. So if someone has like 1 or 2 tanks or something, I mean, it's got a lot of stuff in here. I literally put everything back just the way it came. So shipping won't be a problem. I'll probably find another box to put it in. Oh, I didn't put it even comes with the user manual here as well too. So, but that's the last giveaway. I just don't have any use for it. So I agree with you, Branton. Let's see here. I thought I had stickers for that one too. Maybe I don't. Either way. Tim, are you still in the chat? Because if you are, I have more stickers. I just have to open up a new pack. But if you want more stickers, I can give you these stickers. But if you don't have any place to put the stickers, I mean, anyone can find a place for stickers, honestly. You can have these if you want. Regardless, I'll get stickers for the next 2 winners. All right. Do we need anybody else? Because we have 21 entries and 26 people watching.
It's been time.
Let's do it.
Hit refresh one more time. Oh.
I think. Sorry, Slim. Curtis, yes. If you want a sticker, anyone's request if they want a sticker from me, I would be more than happy to send one to you. You just have to give me your contact information through our previous times. Sorry, Zen. Salient feathers. That's Jesse's wife, I think. Jim's fish. Sorry, Jim's. Jose, no. One salient down. Sorry, Lisa. Oh, there, man, went down quick. Sorry, all things. Jose, no, that didn't sound sincere. Jose, I'm very sorry. Sorry, Curtis. Don't forget to give me your contact info if you want a sticker. And I got I think I got like, well, I think I got like 50 of those left. Sorry, Geek Boy. Better. Oh, sorry, buddy. Uh-oh, wrong screen. No way, Jose. Oh, sorry, buddy. Sweet Polly. Sorry, my friend. More to go. Sorry, Swiffle. Thanks for joining in. Linda Worth. Sorry, Linda. You got close. I like that one. Sorry, Nancy. Sorry, Cece's. Better luck next time. Sorry, Eds.
Ooh.
You were close. 3 more. Oh, June, you were so close. All right, thanks, Lisa. I'm glad you came in. Appreciate it. We'll see you soon. All right, we got Chris, Goody, and we got Cheryl. So here we go, the last and final spin. Good luck. Oh, Cheryl. So it looks like we have Chris Goody as a winner.
Congrats, Chris.
Congratulations to Chris. Chris, like I said before, make sure you get a hold of me on Instagram, Facebook, or on Jesse's Discord if you haven't joined it already for your contact information. I'll write your name down so I don't forget. Just get a hold of me somehow through that. And then we'll do our final giveaway. You are the winner of the aquarium co-op bag, fishnet, and Sarah food. Awesome. And last but not least, this is pretty neat how the fish family can do this.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It makes it so easy too. All right, guys. Hashtag AQQA for the water changer multifunctional vacuum gravel cleaner.
And then Zen, I don't know if you want to drop a link to Mike's stream after this, but I believe he'll be streaming when we're done with this. So if after this, if everybody wants to head over there.
Yeah. I'll pop in for a little bit too.
Yeah, I have to eat dinner and feed my fish. I'll probably be lurking, but
all right. Luke's capacitor. Thanks, Zen, for posting my social links. I appreciate it. You're welcome. Like I said, get a hold of me, Chris. Appreciate you stopping in and hanging out for a little bit. There's we're all gonna hang out over there after this last giveaway. And in case we forget, or we won't forget, obviously, but I mean, like in case like we want to say a couple of things now before we might forget to say it later. I want to thank each and every one that participated in the chat, giving their input on everything. I'll give it a few more minutes on the giveaway, but I want to thank Branton first and foremost for joining me tonight. So it's been a pleasure having you again on here. We'll have to do this again in the future.
Yeah.
Boy, you guys just give each other a hard time, don't you?
Oh
From
God,
David.
David's here.
David, if you want an ATQA multifunctional gravel cleaner, act now. I also want to thank everyone's input. It's been a very interactive live stream. It's been a while since I've had one like being this interactive, and I really enjoy these things. So if anyone else is interested in doing this, either on their channel or on my channel in the future, just an FYI that in the month of May, it does get really busy for me. So I'm probably going to be not so much on YouTube as much because there's a lot of work obligations I got to take care of for the month of May. But other than that, like I said before, you can always get a hold of me on Discord. Just make sure you add either Branton and I on Discord so we get the notification. If you guys have any questions about tonight's live stream, if you guys have any things you want to talk about and that sort of thing, then you guys are more than welcome to. But I really think it's been a really fun night. It's been a lot of fun to do this giveaway. It's been well overdue. I've seen it enough times where, I feel like I need to give back to my community for coming on the live streams and hanging out with us for a little bit and supporting me and all my 30 days of shorts. This has been a challenge for me.
Thank you, Nancy.
Instagram. Okay, Chris. So I got a new follower, Chris Goody. So all right, cool. I'll follow you back, man. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, I apologize.
Ashley, if you want to win something, you can enter hashtag AQQQA.
Yes.
And you can save Joe on some shipping. That's your wife, is it not?
Yes.
Okay. He'll have to walk it upstairs.
Yeah, that's cheap shipping cost right there, man. You should. I think that would be hilarious. Well, put your name in, Ash. Put AQQA like Branton said. Hashtag AQQA and see what happens. Ash sneaking in.
Yeah, don't worry, Nancy. David doesn't know how to make his fish sterile.
All right. We'll go a few more minutes. We'll go 8:08. We got 3 minutes left for this giveaway, and then we'll go. We got 27 people watching and 15 entries, and I just hit refresh, so. Hashtag AQQA, everybody, for one final giveaway. Primary message accepted. Thank you, Chris. I got your information. I plan to go to the post office tomorrow. And then Tim, easy shipping. Whenever I see you next, I could maybe see you tomorrow for a little bit, or whenever I see you at some point, you could. I would say drive here, but I'll just drive to your house, or whenever the next time I see you is fine. Jody P's in this giveaway. 20 entries. All right, 2 more minutes, guys. Hashtag AQQA. Jody P, we had a great discussion with Brandon and I about new fish keeper mistakes and how we can avoid them and help each other out. We covered a lot of topics tonight. It was very informative for all of us. One more minute, guys. Don't forget to stop by M&C's live stream afterwards. Zen posted it in the chat. Yeah, Jody, watch some of the replay. We had a lot of good topics to discuss. Fast forward, Branton.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if anybody wants to go over to Elfish Tank's page, and if you are a sub to him, just click the unsub button.
Yeah, just do that right quick.
Yeah.
All right, so I just hit refresh. The 20 didn't change from 20. So it looks like we have everybody in. So if you're ready, Branton, I'm ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's roll with the punches. Here we go. Oh, no, 186. Sorry, man. Nancy unsubscribed. Oh, Jody, you just came in and you're already out. Sorry, Jody. There you go, David. Sorry, buddy. Better luck next time, my friend. Oh, Nancy. Sorry, Nancy. Oh, Curtis. Sorry, buddy. Jose, no. Sorry, man.
Sucks to be like Brandon.
Oh, Cece's. Sorry, Cece's. Sucks to be like Branton. Oh, wrong screen again. There we go. Okay. Oh, Cheryl, sorry. Better luck next time, Cheryl. Geek Boy, sorry. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Hanging out with us for a little bit. Salient Feathers. Sorry, Salient Feathers. It'll be all good. And my luck continues. Oh, June. Sorry, June. Cats. Sweet Polly, no. Sorry, Sweet Polly. Good luck, everybody. All things nature, sorry. I plan to do more of these giveaways in the future, so keep an eye out. Linda Worth, no. Sorry, Linda.
Right on, Geek.
All right, thanks, Geek, for coming in. You're welcome. Oh, you said you have to unsub from David. Slim Tim, sorry, Slim. I read that wrong, sorry. All right, we got 5 left. Hey, look who's in here. Like you said, just walk right up the stairs. Jim's Fish. I cannot believe I didn't notice that till now, Brand. You should have said something that she was in the wheel.
Yeah. So we'll just have to do the if she's gonna actually win, whoever was before.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Oh, sorry, Swiffle. Sorry, buddy. All right, it's Zen and Aquatic News Network and Ash. You can, Yash, if you win this, we can use this for Alana's new bath toy. How about that? All right, never mind. No bath toy for Alana. Sorry, Alana. Better luck next time.
That's what Tommy and Zen.
Yeah, Tommy and Zen. Good luck to you both. Oh, thanks, Ed, for coming in. Yeah. But good luck to both of you guys. This is the last and final spin of the night. Oh, Zen. Sorry, Zen. Looks like Tommy gets the multifunctional vacuum gravel cleaner. Nice. Congratulations to the Aquatic News Network. If you guys haven't checked him out, I suggest you do so.
Yeah, should have a new video tomorrow morning, right?
Yes, absolutely. With Jim and Jesse and everybody else on there. It's a good time with them. Congratulations, Tommy. I hope you find this gravel cleaner useful more than I did, because it's just collecting dust here, man. But get a hold of me, Tommy. Like I said, through Facebook, Instagram, or Discord, your contact information, and then I'll try to get these things out today or tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow, or I'm sorry, tomorrow or Tuesday. That way, everything can get set up fairly quickly, and you guys can receive it, and we can get notifications that you guys got it. So, yeah, there's my social links. Thanks, Zen. And that's all we got. I'm going to stop screen. Congratulations to Tim. Congratulations to Chris, and congratulations to Tommy for my giveaways this evening.
Yeah,
it was a very fun stream. I really like doing the giveaway. It's not too often to where hardly at all to where I do like giveaways. Just usually I just do gift cards and stuff, but this was kind of different for me, so I really like doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, like I said, well overdue. So just telling you guys thanks for supporting me, and of course supporting Branton as well, and watching all his stuff and doing his.
I'll be having a giveaway stream coming up here soon to celebrate the 1,000 subscribers.
Oh yeah.
Now I've pretty well surpassed that, but it's coming. I just got to find the time.
Do you have it scheduled yet?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a good night. I want to thank each and every one of you. If I did not get to your chat, I do apologize. I was trying my hardest to try to welcome everybody in, get everyone engaged with this, because this was not just a Branton and I show. It was an everyone show to discuss our similarities or differences on new fish keepers, try to keep things simple, try to keep things easy for everybody. There's a lot of good points. So if you guys can catch some of the replay, if you didn't catch all of this, there's a lot of good points I think it's good to talk about and discuss and kind of refresh our memories and help all us new fish keepers out. So you have anything else you want to say, Branton, before we end this live stream?
No, not really. I enjoyed being up here. I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate everybody coming out and getting involved in the conversation. And yeah, just remember to not overcomplicate things and do your research, and you should be fine.
Yes, I agree. We are going to end this live stream. Everyone, make sure to join MNC over there, and you guys take care of yourselves and be safe. And Branton, I'll meet you backstage real quick before we go our separate ways.
Yep. You have a good night too, David.
Everyone, have a great freaking night, and take care. I'll do this outro, and then I'll see you backstage briefly. So see you, everyone.
Later.